What if your little girl tells you that she talks to angels, and your wife is defying gravity on a nightly basis? Black tar starts spewing out of your toilets, and then green slime oozes down your walls, and no one can tell you why.
It's like evil personified. That's what it was really like.
Who or what do you blame? Something natural or supernatural?
We're much more likely to have haunted minds than haunted houses.
I do believe in ghosts, and I do believe in demons. And I believe this place is infested with both.
People shouldn't confuse the unexplained with the paranormal.
So is it phantoms or just physics? Specters or psychology? Take a tour through science and the supernatural with skeptics and believers alike as we try to figure out why places and people become haunted. A small town on the south shore of Long Island has a name that's become synonymous with haunting: Amityville. But there are those that insist that the haunting never happened. Because the members of the family involved are either dead or unavailable for comment, we may never know for sure. But the story, and it's as good a ghost story as has ever been told, goes something like this. On a sparkling day in 1975, George Lutz, his wife Kathy, and his 3 stepchildren, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy, move into their dream house at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. As they cart in their boxes, their spirits are high. The kids and their black lab Harry love the sprawling yard, and George and Kathy feel like they've lucked out. They got a great deal on the house, only $80,000, because of its gruesome history.
13 months before the Lutzes moved into 112 Ocean Avenue, the DeFeo murders occurred. 6 members of the family were brutally murdered in that house. Strangely enough, it didn't bother George and Kathy Lutz at all.
George, a former Marine, assures Kathy that there is nothing to worry about.
George was a no-nonsense guy. He told her, when the dead are dead, they can't affect us.
Nevertheless, they ask their priest and friend, Father Pecoraro, to come and bless the house. The Lutzes are out when he arrives, so he lets himself in. He blesses his stole and puts it around his neck, sprinkling holy water as he heads upstairs. He goes first to a small room, which the Lutzes have started to decorate.
According to the book by Jay Anson, when we got to the sewing room on the 2nd floor, which was Mark and John DeFeo's old bedroom, he said he felt an entity, a presence, a force. And he heard someone say, "Get out."
Get out. Father Pecoraro never tells the family about what happened to him, but simply advises them against making that particular room into a bedroom. They agree not to. But the problems at 112 Ocean Avenue are just about to start. In the first few days after they move in, Kathy swears she smells a woman's perfume and feels someone touching her shoulder. For some strange reason, George begins to regularly wake up at 3:15 a.m. He is uneasy and can't shake the feeling that there is someone in the house. Psychic Lorraine Warren, who is one of the only people to ever investigate the Lutzes' claims in person, says hauntings often begin like this.
They started out in like subtle ways, so you think you're losing it. If you don't give recognition to things like this, they diminish. The more recognition you give, the more power you give.
As the days pass, the house starts to affect the whole Lutz family. One night, as Chris and Danny are heading to bed, they feel a dark shadow chasing them up the stairs. And just a few nights later, George is snuggling with Missy, reading a bedtime story, when a vase suddenly flies off the table, hits the wall, and smashes on the floor.
Missy was the vulnerable one. She was the one that gave recognition to it. It wasn't fright, really. It was just like an animated toy to her. She described this pig-like creature that she would see. That she would carry on a conversation with it. In the rocking chair, they'd see the rocking chair rock.
Pancake, pancake, baker's man.
And things go from bad to worse. The boys resort to playing alone, since their friends are too scared to come to the house. One morning, Kathy is dusting the living room when green slime starts oozing out of the walls. And young Chris Lutz is on a routine trip to the bathroom when the pipe starts spewing black tar.
Dad! Dad!
But the final straw is when George wakes up to find Kathy levitating across the room. He gathers the family in the middle of the night, and they leave the house forever.
When they finally fled, things were totally out of control.
Up until their deaths, the Lutzes swore that their ghostly encounters were real, despite some pretty compelling allegations to the contrary. We'll come back to that a little later. So maybe the secret is just to put some distance between yourself and the supposed ghosts. In Amityville, that's exactly what the Lutzes did. When they ran from the house after what they claimed were 28 days of hell.
In a way, I think it just ruined their whole lives.
So did the house's terrible history finally catch up to them? After all, 6 people were murdered there just 13 months earlier.
The night of November 13th, 1974 was just your typical evening in Amityville.
At Henry's Bar, a favorite dive among Amityville's 20-somethings, the night was just getting started. But life in Amityville was about to change drastically. Ronnie Butch DeFeo entered the bar in an apparent state of shock, claiming that he had just found his parents dead. His best friend, Bobby Kelsky, followed Butch out of the bar, trailed by a couple other guys. They raced down the block to 112 Ocean Avenue. Upstairs, Kelsky found Butch's parents lying brutally murdered in their bed, face down, shot point blank. And the scene got far more gruesome. All of Butch's siblings were dead as well. Butch's friend Joey stayed with him on the first floor and called the cops.
Yeah, I'm at 112 Ocean Avenue.